All right, we are live today. Day 275. We're going live on three five two one five. Use zip code. This is a little bit northeast of Birmingham. So just zoning in. Let's see. We find some properties right here. Okay, this is a good property. Renovated. Pretty much kind of ready to go. Let's see. Yeah, this is pretty decent. Looks relatively turnkey. I don't think you even need to paint this place, to be honest with you. Maybe just some landscaping expenses for this property, but for the most part, it looks pretty good. All right. So now that I got this property, let's go ahead and look up the FMR, the fair market rents. So when we Google HUD FMR, we can go click on the first link and then click on look up FY 2024 FMRs. Go to Alabama. This is in Jefferson County. Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure it's Jefferson County. Yep. So now that I got Jefferson County, you select the state, the county, click the next screen, and now you're going to get the rent ceiling by bedroom count, by zip code. And you're going to see right here that the rent ceiling for a 4-bedroom, which is what this property is, $1,600. Okay, so like that, $1,600. And then the 3-bed is $1,440. So small lift from a 3 to a 4. 35215. That's a 3-bed. All right. Now I want to get the market rent for this property. Now, if I go to affordablehousing.com, go to the owner section, go to the market rent estimator, plug in the address, plug in bedroom count. The most important number here is going to be the number here on the bottom right. All right. So the number on the bottom right says that for 25 units within a 1.46 mile radius, the average rent is $1,494. Okay. So that's a pretty good number because that's below the $1,600 number. So it knows that we're below the range. And usually that $1,600 number that we saw previously from the HUD FMR, that usually includes utilities. So $1,500 is probably a really, really good number to use for the scenario. And just so I want to understand the market a little bit better, I'm also going to look at the rents for a 3-bedroom. Let's just see how much difference there is going from a 4 to a 3, down to a 3. So $1,494, watch what happens, and go down to $1,016. Okay, much lower, right? Much lower. So there is definitely a lift if you were to convert a property in the zip code to a 4-bedroom, probably because there's a much lower supply, 1.46, and 1.46 is still a pretty small radius, so you can have pretty good confidence in there that is what you're going to be able to rent it out for. So I'm using $1,500 for my rent. I'll put that right up here. Let's go ahead and plug in the rest of the details here. Okay, so this property is listed for, I'm going to write down all these numbers, $185,900. All right, the renovations, I'm going to come into my rehab calculator really quick. And again, there's not much to renovate here because everything is pretty much brand new. I don't know what kind of toilets they use, so I'll leave that in there, just like a high pressure flush toilets, because I haven't had any toilet clog issues at my homes with high pressure flush toilets. So if you think about it, every single time you send a plumber out there, it'll probably be like $150, $200 to declog a toilet. 2 of those calls will give you a new toilet. So I might as well save myself a headache and just get the high pressure flush toilets now. So clean up, landscaping. I'm probably going to leave $500 there, but I'll probably leave another $1,500 for a roof, but that's pretty much all the expenses I'm gonna need. So when I go all the way down after putting in all the rehab numbers, I'll probably be around a $35 rehab, which makes sense because this is relatively turnkey. Okay, now to get my other numbers, let's get my property tax numbers here. I'm just gonna get it right from Redfin. You should probably just double check your tax assessor records, but for the most part, what we're doing right now is we're simply trying to figure out if this property is worth our time to analyze further. So for my insurance number, I'm going to take this 144 that's on the Redfin website, right? 144, put it in here. I'm going to multiply 1.2. I typically add 20% premium to whatever the Redfin is estimating, just because I want to be more conservative, but also typically the insurance for a investment property is going to be a lot more than a primary residence property. I got 10% for my maintenance. I got 10% for my property management. Now, maintenance just means, hey, what is the amount that I'm setting aside every single month, anticipating that some of my big items will need to get replaced. I know the roof is going to get replaced in 10, 12, 15 years. I know the water heater is going to need to get replaced in 7, 10, 15 years. I know the HVAC is going to go out in like 7, 10, 20 years, right? And that's money that you got to set aside now, because if you think you made the extra $150 every single month, and all of a sudden 10 years later you do a $15,000 roof replacement, well, does that mean you didn't make any money at all for the past couple of years? Yeah, very likely. If you that's how you underwrote it and you were expecting that profit, but then you really didn't make any profit. So when you underwrite the deals, please set aside the money for maintenance. All right, then I got $75 for vacancy, because someone always moves out. So assuming we are doing 25% down, I'm going to come here to my cell F19 and I'll put 25%. And my down payment is going to be equals to my asking price in B4 multiplied by my down payment percentage in F19. That's going to equal to $46,475. All right. So at 2.5% for closing costs, my renovation is right there. And then going to my right side, I'm going to calculate my financing amount. So my financing amount is going to equals to my asking price in B4 minus by my down payment in E19. And that's going to give me $139,425. That is how much money I'm financing today to purchase this property. All right. So with that in place, I'm going to add in 8.25% of interest rate. I got 30-year term. I'm assuming this is going to start in maybe August 1st, 2024. Oh, it's future date. So let me use the past date just so they don't trip it up. All right. And no secondary liens. So on this property, as a 4-bedroom, if I rent out for $1,500, I should be cash flowing negative $215. So I'd be losing $215 every single month. That's a negative 4.7% return on your capital, and that's assuming $185,900. So cash purchase price with a $35 rehab, a 25% down payment, and an 8.25% interest rate. So assuming everything else stays constant, right? What would make this a deal? So watch what happens, right? The whole point of this exercise for you guys to go through and adjust the levers on this deal to figure out what's your cash and cash hold. So when you lower your asking price right here, right? Let's go watch what happens to this cash and cash return number in E9, right? As I lower this number. So let's go to $130,000. All right, now I'm at 3%, $100,000. All right, 105, 103, 101. There you go. So I'd be willing to pay $101,000 for this property, assuming everything else stay constant, because that would be cash flowing $263 a month. That's a 10.1% cash and cash return. Assuming my rehab stayed the same at $3,500, and my down payment is a 25% at 8.25% interest rate. Now, I just want to go through a few more scenarios with you just so we can have a little bit of fun with it. Now, assuming everything else stayed the same, right? Let's say the interest rate went down to 7.25, right? The macro environmental factors have adjusted a little bit over time, and now all of a sudden you will be willing to pay more for the property, right? So instead of paying 101, I might now be willing to pay 108 for the same return, right? Now, obviously, again, this is not investment advice. I'm not soliciting any investments on this call. Simply showing you all the extras I'm going through to figure out what is the tolerance based on the factors that are relevant in the market right now. Because in this scenario, I'm still cash flowing $279, but I was willing to pay $7,000 more simply because the interest rate was at 1% lower. All right. Now, let's say you're freaking out and you say, hey, I got an inspection. What if blah, blah, blah goes wrong? Well, let's say like your rehab estimate went up by 5. So I'm going to go to B6 and I'll multiply the rehab number by 5. And now my cash and cash return is lower, right? Even though my interest rate is still 7.25%, I'm now only making 7%. So now we got lower to 98,000. Oops, let's go 93. There you go. 9.95%, so almost 10%. So even though you got a contractor out there and they say, oh my God, this is going to cost like 5 times more than you expected, right? assuming everything else stay constant, right? 25% down, a 7.25% interest rate. You're still renting out as a 4 bedroom for $1,500. You're now going to cash flow $356, even though your rehab has 5x in this scenario. But you're still going to cash flow 10%. But you would have to get credits down to $93,000, right? So after you get an inspection, you get your contractor bids, you can go back to the seller and say, well, I can't do 108 anymore because the rehab found X and X wrong. Like it's a sewer line needs to get replaced. And all of a sudden that's like 8-9 grand, right? This stuff really matters. But this is also how you remove the fear from proceeding on your investment journey by simply you doing the work every single day and getting comfortable with adjusting the levers and all the scenarios that allows you to figure out, hey, is this going to be a deal or not? All right. All right. I hope you all have an amazing day. It's July. I hope you guys enjoy truly. Sometimes I regard July as the beginning of the summer just because it's a brand new month. Second half of the year, let's take this second half of the year momentum. I hope you all are able to copy my homework today, analyze the same deal that I saw in Redfin. And if you want to copy of the spreadsheet, right, just go to affordablehousing.io, click on the Get Deal Analysis tool. From that point onwards, click, just put in your information. I promise I won't spam you. Just put in your information, your email, your phone number, and I will send you the copy of the spreadsheet automatically. This has been the easiest way to remove the bottleneck from people having to DM me their emails. This has been the easiest way. So I hope you all have an amazing day. I will be back tomorrow for day 276. Have a good one, everybody. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.